So what we're going to be doing tonight is trying out a 5-match league with this deck right here, what I am calling Standard Bogles, what most people are probably referring to as white-blue auras. I've played this in a couple of practice matches recently, but I haven't actually done a league with it yet. I've really enjoyed it, and I've played against it a lot, and it always looked kind of fun to play, so I thought I'd give this a shot. It's honestly a very cheap deck to build. This entire thing cost me less, or right around $10, I think. I already had the Legion's Landing, so I didn't have to pay for those, so that might take it a little bit above there, but it's really a very cheap build, truth be told. I'm excited to see where this goes with the release of Dominaria, because we are in the last couple days of Rival Standard here, and I'm trying to get a feel for the deck and how it's going to change and what's good, what needs to stay, what can maybe get swapped out with a few things once Dominaria actually releases. For the deck itself, I'm running pretty much the standard auras, the Cartouche of Solidarities, the Curious Obsessions, and the Cartouche of Knowledge, all of which are either providing us with card advantage through drawing or evasion and the board presence with, some tokens here. I do have a 1-of Standard's Devotion that I'm trying out in the deck. I'm unsure how this is going to go. The Vampire token is nice, and getting the Lifelink seems like it could be impactful, but I'm not sure on this one. 3 mana is pretty rough. Outside of the auras, I am running a lot of low-cost creatures here. All my creatures are within under 2 mana. I'm running 4 Sacred Cats, a shockingly strong creature because it does come back. I'm also running the 4 Vampire Aspirants, or Sky Marcher Aspirants. I keep getting that name wrong. The 2/1 that gets flying with the City's Blessing. It's shockingly easy to get City's Blessing with this deck between all of the auras and token creation. So it often provides a lot of evasion and just a solid 2/1 that can attack pretty well on the first couple turns. Adanto Vanguard, honestly one of the all-stars of the deck in my own opinion, because it is giving it self-evasion from removal spells. Removal spells is one of the biggest things that this deck can die to, because you're kind of going all in on some creatures. So by having these Vanguards in here, you're actually opening yourself up to be able to evade those removal spells as long as they're not, -X kind of things. I'm running 4 Dorned Pouncers. This is my first time running 4 of these in the deck, and I'm honestly not sure how it's going to go. They seem good. They seem like an ideal thing to load up the auras with, and they're good late game because they can come back as 4/4s. But they realistically don't do a whole lot for me outside of that, and they're very easy to kill. I'm also running 4 SRAMs because he is offering me card advantage, absolutely absurd amounts of card advantage. I've played in some of this practice rounds and drawn 3 or even 4 cards a turn with this guy out on the field and some of the cartouches and the obsession and that kind of stuff. Outside of the creatures and the auras in the deck, I am running 2 Legion's Landings. I could see this being bumped up to 3. I feel like it's going to be a very good card in the deck and just offer a lot of potential once it does flip. 2 Dive Downs, a shocking all-star in the deck in my matches I've played so far. Having them blank on a removal spell, just give it hexproof, and also allowing it to win combat sometimes if that's necessary, have made this a very good card. And the other kind of different card I'm running here is SRAM's Expertise. This is a card I haven't personally decided on yet. I've seen some lists that are running 4 of them, some lists that are running none. It seems really great at 4 mana, getting 3 servos, chump blockers if they need to be, ways to go wide, get those extra couple points of damage, and then you get to cast a card off of it. What I've found is sometimes the issue is that you kind of run out of cards by the time you're playing a 4 mana spell if you don't have SRAM or some of these other drawing auras on the field already. And sometimes you're just kind of paying the 4 mana to get the 3 servos by itself, which again isn't always the worst thing in the world, but often can feel a little underwhelming. So I'm going to see how that goes. In terms of lands, I have 4 Glacial Fortresses, and then otherwise basic islands and plains with these Sheffet Dunes. A lot of people are probably going to be surprised and maybe critical of the fact that I'm not running irrigated farmlands in this deck, but in my opinion, this deck really doesn't want a land that comes in tapped. They want untapped mana. They want to go as fast as possible. You know, turn 4, you want to have been playing at least one, if not multiple turns, or multiple cards every single turn up through that point, and just flooding the board and hopefully being able to swing in for a lot. So having a land that comes in tap really can slow down this deck when you're playing so many 1 and 2 drops. And I feel like the cycling just doesn't help it enough, especially in the early game. You're never going to be cycling it usually. Late game you would get to, sure, but if you're getting to the late game with this deck, you're already kind of in trouble. So that's the main deck. In the sideboard, I have 3 Fragmentize, 4 Baffling Ends, a shockingly strong card. I expect we're probably going to see it come in a lot tonight. Another Squire's Devotion, and Ixalan's Binding for just anything else I can't deal with. Some counter magic with Spell Pierces and Negates, and then a 1 with the Wind, just to give us a little extra reach if we need flying, or a little bit more powerful with a +2/+2 aura. This is just kind of a card I'm trying out at the moment. So yeah, this is the deck. Like I said, what I'm calling Standard Bogles. But I'm really excited for the league, see how this does. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go get that started. See you guys in a minute. We are here with the first round of a league. I'm playing Standard Bogles, as you guys know. And let's see. I want to say definitely going to keep this hand. We're not going to be able to play the Sacred Cat on turn 1. It's a little unfortunate, but it should be fine. We'll go ahead and lay down an island, be able to have 2 untapped dual lands coming in the next couple of turns here. And we have an Adanto Vanguard, a fantastic card in the deck. It has a lot of resilience to removal with its indestructible clause. As long as you're able to or willing to pay the life, it's a really fantastic card. Looks like we might be up against the the Constrictor Counters deck here. I haven't played against that with this deck. I'm hoping that we're going to just kind of outspeed it a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and play the Vanguard, because that's definitely the card I would most like to attack in with next turn, I think. Possibly the Pouncer, just because double strike, and it'd be a 2/2. Yeah, you know, I'm going to go with Vanguard. I'm just going to be safe. This deck has Fatal Push. And I mean, we're going to have Dive Down to protect ourselves as well, which is a shockingly good card for being a, you know, draft chaff kind of deal that most wouldn't think is even remotely standard playable. It's shockingly good in this deck. I run 2 of them, and I've been pretty impressed with it on the most part. Squire's Devotion is actually a 1-of aura in this deck, so I'm kind of surprised to see that in my opening hand, but it is going to be good. Life gain is going to be a little bit more important than typical with the Vanguard at my disposal here. Alright, so drop down my Fortress, and I'm going to go ahead and put Curious Obsession on Vanguard. Well, I could play Squire's Devotion. That makes it pretty much free to use its ability just on attack, because that's going to be 4 damage, and it'll kill whatever it blocks. You know what, I'm going to go with this. That might be the risky play here, but I'm going to try it out. Alright, is he going to push it in response is the question. If he does, it's fine. I'll just pay the indestructible fee. I do get an extra token out of this too, which is pretty nice. You know, this is definitely a card I could see running more of in the deck, depending on how it goes. 3 mana is the biggest thing holding it back. It's honestly more expensive than, you know, 95% of the rest of the deck. But it does seem like it could be good. You know, I've looked a lot at the Dominaria spoilers and thinking what all we could add to this deck with the release. And I know a lot of people have been talking about the 3-mana legendary with like First Strike, Lifelink, Vigilance, and then making auras 1 less. Oh, that's Exile, darn it. And I don't have the mana up for Dive Down. Definitely a reason I could have played Curious Obsession there. Well, that's unfortunate. It's not a complete loss. I do at least get a token out of the deal, and I made him waste the best removal spell in the deck, so that's life. I guess I'll take that. And I do have follow-up creatures here that are still going to be fine. But like I was saying, I actually don't think that that 3-mana legendary might not actually be that good, because most of the auras we play here are actually just 1 mana. There's only one, this cartouche, speaking of it, that is more. So I think it opens the door to run more expensive auras, but I'm not sure we want to run more expensive auras. Alright, so what's going to happen here is I'm probably going to play Curious Obsession on the Vampire, just to make sure I start getting some card draw. Be able to play the Adorn Pouncer and hold up Dive Down. If I played the Cartouche, and I'd have to settle for the Sacred Cat, and I would just like to get the Adorn Pouncer down a little bit sooner. So this is what I'm going to do here. Alright, go ahead and swing in. I will get 2 life back, which is nice. That's keeping me afloat in this match, letting me keep just kind of taking some of their hits here. And it's also going to draw me a card since I'm dealing damage with it. Alright, let's see what I get. Okay, Legion's Landing. Wow, that's actually really good here. I'm probably not going to play it this turn, so like I said, I can continue to hold up Dive Down. Well, I could play Sacred Cat and Legion's Landing. Flipping Legion's Landing next turn, I actually like that a little bit more. So yeah, we're going to do that. Just getting the multiple creatures on board. And it's not like I'm able to load up Pouncer with anything this turn anyway. So a couple of 1/1 lifelinkers out here. I am running 4 of these Sacred Cats in the deck. I know a lot of people are running 2/0 on some cases, but I've actually been really impressed with it. I mean, it's just a cheap little creature, but it puts in more work than you would expect, especially if you're able to load it up with a couple of auras. It just nets you a lot of life, and sometimes that little bit of life is what this deck needs to kind of go over the top. Alright, what are we going to see here? A Gearhulk? Well, they undid everything. My presumption was going to be a Gearhulk. Live fast. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, get 2 energy. That is not a card I typically see played here, but okay. Alright, Incept. I feel alright about this. I want to continue to hold up Dive Down. I may be playing overly cautious with this, but I just feel better doing that. I'm going to put this Cartouche on the Vampire, because I'm going to end up swinging in with all 3 to get Legion's Landing to flip. And if, you know, the cat is inevitably going to die, whatever I don't equip with this is going to die because of the Servant, and at least with the cat I'll be able to get it back. So I'm going to net a card here, get 2 lifelink in the air, and a Danto Vanguard. That's actually really good. Let's go ahead and enter combat here. Flip our land. And one great thing about flipping our land here is it's going to let us play one of our 2-mana spells while still holding up Dive Down, because it will be a mana source. A lot of times you look at Legion's Landing as being an outlet to create more Vampire tokens, but it's almost like a second thought that it actually is serving as mana in the deck. Okay, so it makes sense that they're going to block the Vampire with our enchantment there. It doesn't net us a card, but it does clear a little bit of the way for us to get through. I'm going to go ahead and play the Vanguard. It's a little more resilient. It attacks better. Yeah, let's go with this. I'm okay on life right now, so not too worried if I have to activate its indestructible clause. Alright. Down to 8 for our opponent. Another... Oh, wow. I was going to say Vraska's Contempt, but that is just regular old Vraska. So it has a Destroy clause, 2/2 Pirate with Menace as her plus. You're not often... I have not seen that card in a long time. Kind of forgot what it did. What are they going to do here? Because if they use the minus, we have Dive Down, and they are, which is great. I'm just going to just stop that from happening here. This is probably going to be, hopefully, big enough of a dive down at the moment to kind of secure the game for us. We're not going to win next turn unless we draw something amazing that I'm not sure we actually have in the deck. But we'll be able to flood the board with a couple more creatures. Even throwing another 2/2 around isn't going to be a big deal. She'll be able to destroy one more of our creatures next turn, probably. But gosh, attacking, leaving the way wide open, I'm definitely not going to block. We're going to be attacking in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can draw here. No, unfortunately not. But that's okay. I'm going to be able to play out my entire hand and just not worry about that Vraska, I don't think. Actually, there's no harm in killing the Vraska this turn. Just to be safe. Alright. Just going to send the Adanto Vanguard at Vraska. That'll be attacking for 3. Enough to finish her off. And leaving the opponent at 5 instead of 2 doesn't seem like it's going to be a major ordeal here. Alright. Second main. Okay, and I'm feeling pretty secure going in here. You know, they probably are going to draw here, take them down to 4. Yeah. Siphoner is such a good card. Really impressed with this. I'm not sure what they could play here that would endanger our game. Like, even if they dropped a Gear Hulk, one of their bigger bombs, the Chupacabra, still, I think that's fine. They're going to kill, what, our flying vampire? But still, that's just going to leave them with 2 blockers. Can I get through for 4? Yeah, I think no matter what, I get through for 4. Because I'd get through with 2 things. I don't know, they may be playing another creature. Yeah, it looks like it. So if I draw an enchantment, I think I get through and win this next turn. Sacred Cat. That's not exactly what I was looking for, but it's cheap enough that I can play it and create a vampire this turn. So I just smash in with everything here. Force some chump blocks upon them. Alright, so this is still going to deal them 3 damage. So we're going to get them down to 1. I'm going to activate this. Just keep it alive. No reason not to at this at 27, 28 life, whatever I was at. Yep, this looks fine. What does he have here? Just a Fatal Push. Nothing. He said he was going to cast something, so I'm surprised we didn't see anything there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and play the Sacred Cat. And I could embalm my other Sacred Cat, but I I have no cards in hand, so I don't have any reason to really bluff here. I'm just going to make a vampire. Okay, they're going to push that. That's fine. I'll be able to bring it back next turn if I need to. Okay, forgot that was a thing. But in response, I will go ahead and just get my stuff here. Again, makes me glad that I did not go for the Sacred Cat, because otherwise I just never would have got any actual value, well, tokens out of the land there. Alright, just going to grab a plains. Okay, they just gave it to me there. So we're going to go ahead and start sideboarding. This didn't look like the build I was expecting out of this deck, per se. I was expecting it to be a little bit more the Constrictor sort of plan. But what do we got in the sideboard here? So I'm definitely going to bring in some Baffling Ends. These cards are very good, and the vast majority of what they had was under 3 mana. Like, they played the Chupacabra, which of course wasn't, but Baffling End is still going to hit the Servants, hit the Siphoners, 2 cards which are either generating a mana advantage or card advantage, so I think this is just a good play. You do have to keep in mind they may bring in some enchantment removal because of how many enchantments we naturally play, which can play badly with Baffling End, but I think that's just the risk we take here. Flying seems pretty good, so I'm actually going to bring in one with the Wind. This is kind of a weird sideboard card I have, but I do like it. I'm going to take out the Squire's Devotion. I know it played well for us in that first game, but I'm just kind of going to switch enchantment for enchantment here. The SRAM's Expertises I'm unsure if they're good. I don't know. Ixalan's Binding could be good. I feel like it's overcosted removal. Baffling End is probably just better. Do we bring in a 4th Baffling End? Probably not. We're probably okay, but maybe Baffling End is just better than SRAM's Expertise. I'm going to say it is here. I know I'm going in hard on this Baffling End plan with 4 of them in here, but it's just done very good for me every time I play this deck. And it honestly comes in from the sideboard a lot more than one might expect, but it just does good there. So I'm going to keep it in. Alright, so what do I have here? This looks... I like the hand aside from the 3 planes. But I'm going to keep... I have SRAM, I have Adanto Vanguard, and if I can get blue, then I'm just in a really good spot, I think. My opponent's also mulling to 6. I'm on the draw. So I think this hopefully is a safe keep. I hope. Worst case scenario, I do have white enchantments that I can draw into, and SRAM is going to just draw me more cards from that too. Alright. Oh, perfect. I could not be happier. So I'm going to go ahead and slam down a plains, pass the turn. Next turn I'll put down the Glacial Fortress and probably play... Gosh, what do I play here? The Adanto Vanguard keeps itself safe. The SRAM is going to end up drawing me extra cards. I feel like it's going to have me a few less cards, but Adanto Vanguard is just such a safer card to play against a deck that's running Fatal Pushes. It really is. Because I just imagine, I've played so many games where I put down SRAM, I kind of go all in on that, hoping, the next turn I put the enchantment on SRAM, thinking I'll get some card value here, and then he just dies by a Fatal Push. So here, luckily, I'm going to actually be able to play not only SRAM, but also Curious Obsession on a Dono Vanguard. So this is probably one of my better case scenario draws, because this is going to net me 2 extra cards this turn, which is just, honestly, it's kind of absurd where I have this standard game where I'm drawing 2, 3, almost free cards a turn. So yeah, I'm going to target a Dono Vanguard here with Curious Obsession. Net a card off of it. I wouldn't be surprised to see them like try to put a Fatal Push my way. Oh yeah, so they're Fatal Pushing SRAM because they know a Dono Vanguard's not going to do any good here. I am still going to get to draw a card off of it because it's a cast trigger, so they kind of are a little late to that party. But SRAM did his job. He came in, he ate a removal spell, and he drew me a card, so I'm happy with that. And another Glacial Fortress. So that is going to give me all the blue I need so that I can play not only my Cartouche here, but also dive down next turn. Hold it up just in case. I know Vanguard keeps itself naturally protected, but we did see a Vraska's Contempt come its way last game. So, yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised, since they saw dive down earlier, that if they do have Vraska's Contempt in hand and they have a land to play next turn, if we don't just see them play Vraska at sorcery speed here. Which would be a little unfortunate, but if they do make that mistake of waiting until my turn... Oh, okay. So they probably just realized they couldn't win this. You know, they mulled to 6, as we saw, and we know that they just didn't look like they had a lot to play, so they maybe just didn't want to go down to 5. But in all, we won that match. The deck played well. On to match 2. Here we are with our second match in our league, and looking at this hand... 5 lands, a SRAM, and an Adorned Pouncer. It's not the worst it could be, but gosh, that is an awful lot of lands to start with. I think I'm going to just mull here. Yeah, I'm definitely just going to mull here. Oh, gosh. This is a better hand, but without white mana. I don't really want to go to 5. I'm on the draw, and I'll get a Scry. Let's hope I can find a Plains or a Glacial Fortress or something here. Let's keep it. Let's see how this goes. Okay, Adonto Vanguard, while an amazing card and great in just about any matchup here for our deck, gonna have to go to the bottom because it's not a Plains. So let's see. Our opponent here on Blooming Marsh, just like last game, black-green, at least some portion of the deck. Our draw, not exactly what we were wanting it to be. Not a bad card, but it doesn't tap for white mana. So let's hope next turn we see something. Well, maybe this is the Constrictor deck that I was talking about last match, or maybe it's something a little bit more unusual, like the last one we saw. Still not a Plains. Still not great. I know I was being a little risky with keeping this hand, but I had really hoped. Let's hope by next turn I can see something. Maybe drop a SRAM in addition to a Cartouche. Get a little bit of draws, a little bit of board presence here. I don't want to get this game to get out of hand too quick. Because the deck really does rely on white mana early on, at the very least. All of our creatures require white. I'm trying to think if we have any blue creatures in the deck at all. I don't believe we do. I'm relatively new at playing this deck, so that's why I'm failing to remember if we do. I'm going to be embarrassed if I do and then I just completely forgot about something. But alright, so they're going to get in for 2, get enough energy to draw an extra card next turn. Looks like they're in Jund colors. Maybe splashing the red for Rekindling Phoenix, something like that. Still not what we want to see. Yep, I'm going to have to pass this again. I'm not going to give up on this because it is possible for us to come back in the game unless they drop something absurd next turn. But this is not looking good for us here. Does make me regret I didn't keep that opening hand, even though it had 5 lands. I'm feeling better than I am right now. But I don't think it was reasonable to keep that hand. So at this point, passing again, I'm going to have to discard the hand size. I'll at least discard the Adorned Pouncer because at some point I can get that back. Let them draw a card. So they do have double red out now. If they have the Phoenix in their deck, they're able to play it. Well, I guess they were able to last turn, but still. Surprised we haven't seen any card here other than the Glint Sleeve Siphoner. You know, they've kind of had a wide open chance to play. And Angrath. That is not a card I expect to see. So he's having us each discard a card and lose 2 life, or me discard a card and lose 2 life. He also has gain control of target creature, sack it if it's 3 or less. That is bad for me. Okay. What do I discard here? Probably one of the Curious Obsessions, because I'm a little ways off of that anyway, and I can't play it on a card that came in that turn. I'm just drawing another SRAM. I'm going to concede the game here. Under the hope that he doesn't know I'm playing this deck, because that Angrath is actually really good against us. So maybe he'll think it's not and sideboard it out. Who knows? Probably not what's going to occur, but we can hope. Okay, so I didn't see a lot of his deck other than the Siphoner and the Angrath, so I don't know how good Baffling End is here. Let's see. I'm going to bring in 2. What do I want to take out? This SRAM's Expertise just seems to be a go-to removal in this deck. I don't actually know how good it is. I'm going to wait to see a little bit more of the second game. Hopefully we can come around in it before I put in Spell Pierce and Negate. I know we don't want to see that Planeswalker, but they probably have Fatal Push in the deck too. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to put in Ixalan's Binding, because that is another way to deal with anything kind of crazy, since it is just a non-land permanent. And yes, I will play first here. Alright, so this hand is significantly better than what we were seeing before. Definitely not going to mull here. You know, turn 1 we're going to be looking at Sacred Cat. Turn 2 we'll be able to play that island. Probably go with the Donto Vanguard unless something crazy comes up and we're able to, I feel comfortable playing the Curious Obsession. But I'm going to go ahead and drop this first instead of the island just so we can play this turn 1. Alright. Yeah, I'd have to draw something pretty crazy not to play the Vanguard turn 2 here. Well, this does open up the opportunity to play 2 spells with the Curious Obsession. I feel better attaching Curious Obsession to the Vanguard, but let's see. I can get Aspirant and Curious Obsession. I just feel like there's too great of a chance he's holding up a Fatal Push as soon as I attach something there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to attack in, and then I'll probably play the Vanguard afterwards. And I know I'm playing it safe with this, but a lot of times this deck can get blown out by a single removal spell if you don't account for it. And that's like its biggest flaw, its biggest weakness is a single removal spell. And when you have a deck that honestly is a good deck, I do like this deck, but when that's one of its weaknesses, you do have to play it very safely. Okay, so yeah, here's the Fatal Push. Very glad I didn't put the Obsession on there. Makes me feel better about not trying to go for the card advantage that turn. Next turn, depending on what I draw, I'll be able to play the Skymarcher, Aspirant, Sacred Cat, and Curious Obsession all in the same turn here, which will be pretty great, hopefully. Another Vanguard, that's actually really great. I'm going to go ahead and play the Glacial Fortress. I'm not going to draw a better land than that to play this turn. And attach the Curious Obsession to the Vanguard. And before I play anything else, I'm going to go ahead and attack in and draw the card. As you all know, that's just a better way to play things here, and it makes sure you have all the options and know what you can do. Alright, so I'm going to attack in for 4 here. So you're going to... Oh! Not able to fix that. Well, that's unfortunate. But that's life. I can't get around it. I'm going to get to drop another Adano Vanguard. And we'll hold off on the Sky Marcher and the Sacred Cat for next turn. We unfortunately don't have any more auras to place on things, but we're going to hope that just amassing some creatures here and maybe drawing into our next 1 or 2 cards will help us rebuild a little bit. This deck does churn through cards very quickly, so we rely on cards like SRAM and Curious Obsession to be drawing cards for us every turn. Ooh, a fancy Masterpiece Ronus here. That's not going to be able to attack or block yet. It does look very nice, though. Not a huge fan of the invocations, but I like it. So SRAM is a decent draw here, because he's going to give us the ability to get back in the game if we do start drawing some of our cards, our enchantments. I'm going to go ahead and attack in. I do have to presume that Ronus is probably going to be attacking next turn. I'll likely just be taking that. I don't know. We'll see how things go. But, well, do I play SRAM here? Because I don't have any expensive enchantments in the deck. So if I wait on SRAM till next turn, there's less of a chance he dies in between. Maybe I just play the Sky Marcher and the Sacred Cat. I actually think that's better, because SRAM's going to do just as much for me playing him this turn as he would next turn. And this gets me 2 creatures on the field. I mean, I would have 2 creatures on the field regardless. But I just like the safety. Oh, I can play all 3 of them this turn. Never mind. I don't know what I was thinking there. It's just going to cost me a life to play one. Nope, not the color I needed. It is still questionable that maybe I shouldn't have played SRAM here, just because of the chance that he does die. But this gives me another option to attack in with next turn if he doesn't. It gives me a chance to just have more stuff on the field. I think that's better. See, I'm glad I did. He's still alive, so if he's gonna die this turn, he would have died anyway. And yeah, I just think this is better. Now I can play this Plains here. That'll give me the ability to activate my Shepet Dunes, giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 damage. And I actually think that's worthwhile, because this deck doesn't need 5 mana to play, and there's no use of me just bluffing with a card in my hand. I do anticipate something biting the dust here with a removal spell, but that'll be okay. Yeah, what are we going to see? Get it here. That's what I figured. Okay, so SRAM's out. That's alright. I'm still going to get in for a decent bit of damage. Hoping at this point that I can just outrace. They have 3 cards in their hand, 4 mana on the field. I have to imagine this Canyon Slough hurt them a little bit, not being able to play a 4-drop to turn on their Ronus last turn. Okay, so Dragon Skull Summit. What do we have here? The Phoenix, maybe? Oh, Glorybringer. Okay. So they're going to shoot down probably the cat. Yeah. Alright. Take me down to 16. Leave their Ronus up to block. Which, of course, I'm not going to be able to attack into. But I can go ahead and play this Cartouche of Solidarity. So I think the plan is going to be to play it on the Sky Marcher Aspirant, which I recognize can die. It can be shot down by Glorybringer. But when am I going to get to attack in with the Vanguard? But, because this could give me flying eventually. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be 7 and 8. I still have to get 2 more permanents to make it flying, and by then Glorybringer is going to shoot it down. So I'm just going to put it on the Vanguard and hope that I'm able to crack back on a turn whenever they do end up attacking with the Ronus. Alright, not attacking here. Unfortunately, even though this will be a 4-2 with first strike, still not going to take down one of those gods. And that was my concern, as we were going to see the Phoenix. That is not good for us. Yeah, I have a bad feeling about this round. That first game just kind of did us in, keeping that hand with 2 islands. Go ahead and play the cat. The Glorybringer is going to untap next turn, presumably shooting at the Sky Marcher Aspirant. But we're going to be taking 8 damage. Still not safe for me to tack in here. Like, I really don't think it is. Maybe it is. Maybe I just slam in. They're going to eat 2 things, though. I'm going to get in for, like, 1 point. No. If they only had Ronus out, I would actually try it. Just because I could keep the Vanguard alive, and I could crack in for at least, like, 3 points minimum. Maybe 4, depending on how they blocked. But with the Phoenix out there, too, they're just going to eat my 2 smallest things, and then I'll be down to just the Vanguard next turn. Oh my goodness, another Phoenix. Not good. Yeah, this is just going to do us in here. Yeah, with another Plains, they're going to be attacking in the air. I mean, they're only going to be attacking in for, what is it, 8? Unless they can activate this thing twice, which they can. So, that's game. A rough round 2. But, hopefully round 3 will go better for us. Had some difficult draws there. I would have liked this game, but that moment of craving on the Adanto at the beginning was really tough on us, too. So, alright, 1-1 right now. I will see you guys with round 3. Here we are with our 3rd game in the league with Standard Bogles. We have 4 lands, a Dive Down with SRAM, and an Adorned Pouncer. I'm going to keep this hand. I know we don't have any auras, but everything else is looking pretty good to me. So let's keep this. I'm on the draw. Maybe we'll pick up something nice, but... Okay, this is not a card you usually see. Just a Cycling Basic. That is unusual. It is a desert, though, so we can keep in mind that it has some typing importance, potentially. Let's see what else they put down here. Yeah, so another black mana desert. Alright. So I'm going to start out this game. We'll play Glacial Fortress here. Adorned Pouncer, I think, is just where I'm going to go with this instead of SRAM. SRAM's a little more important to me. Adorned Pouncer will be able to come back if something does happen, if they Fatal Push it or something. And I have the lands ready, so to be able to come back right on turn 5. So, yeah, we're going to see a Fatal Push here. Oh, Moment of Craving again. Goodness. That card is good against me. And people are just main decking it now. Oh, no. Alright, Field of Ruin, that's okay. This deck isn't particularly weak to Field of Ruin. Doomfall. Reveal your hand, you choose a non-land card from it, exile that card. Okay, so another reason I'm happy I played the Adorned Pouncer there, because I would much rather it be in my graveyard than in exile. And he is choosing to exile... Did he not? Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. I clicked on Revealed. So yeah, he took out SRAM, which was expected. But, alright. So I'm drawing into lands here. Not ideal, but that's okay. I can play Sacred Cat. I have Dive Down if I really want to protect my cat, which I probably don't. I'm sure I'm going to save that from actually able to eternalize the Pouncer there. But yeah, so back to him. Another If Near Dead Lands, which is a very strong card against my deck. Oh my gosh, what even is this deck? Search your library for card, put in your hand, shuffle your library, okay. That's the one with the sideboard option is the other one, right? Yeah. Okay, so I am not familiar with this deck he's playing at all. I got no clue on what card he searched up so that he could throw down next turn, potentially. But I do like the card I just got here. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to cast off of it, but I do get the chance just to get 3 1/1 servos, because there's definitely not a chance I am going to play Dive Down for free. But I'll get in for 1 here. 1 tiny little damage. And then I'll get 3 more servos. That next turn will be a little bit bigger to keep me alive. Do good for me. The question is going to be, do I actually eternalize Adorn Pouncer next turn? Or do I wait so that I can dive down in case they have like a Vraska's Contempt or something crazy like that, which I actually think is the right play. Without any pressure on the board at the moment, I think I can afford to wait an extra turn. Yeah, they're going to Field of Ruin my thing. That's okay. I have enough lands in hand that this is just deck thinning for me right now. I have another 2 planes here, so I'm just going to grab an island in whatever weird world I need extra islands for. Oh, well, it actually makes sense. I get to hold up Dive Down, worst case scenario. Okay, search your library for a basic land card, put in the library tapped. Okay. And then I think the other side of that card is Mind, which I do not actually know what does. Draw 2 cards for 6 mana. Alright, I'm fine with that. See, with the amount of deserts he has here, I almost wonder if it's not like an Hour of Promise sort of deal. If that's what I'm thinking of, the green one, where they get zombies and they fetch any sort of land they want. I don't know. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to play Legion's Landing, attack in, flip it. I'll be able to make a vampire token, and then next turn I'll be able to eternalize the Adorn Pouncer and protect it with the Dive Down. So this is actually a pretty good draw for me here. Attack in with all my guys. Deal 4 damage, take myself up to 22. Flip Adanto. Alright. And yeah, I'm just going to pass it over. Create a vampire token when I get the chance. Okay, Thematic Compass. Search your library for basic land, reveal it, and then untap target attacking creature and opponent controls removed from combat. Alright, that's fine. I'm probably going to take out my Pouncer whenever that happens, but... So maybe this is that, that Torment of Hailfire deck. I'm not super familiar with it, but it would make sense to me if that's, if that would be something that I'm looking at here. Okay, so Sheffet Dunes, and I totally forgot to make my vampire. I was so focused on what else they were doing here that completely slipped past me, which is a, hopefully not a deathly mistake here. Alright. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and attack in. Get in for 5. Take myself up to 24. Well, subtract 1 from each of those numbers. Alright. And I am going to go ahead and just eternalize here. I'll drop the Adanto Vanguard next turn. I'm keeping up Dive Down, and I do have Chef at Dunes I'm able to activate next turn, just to get a little extra damage in. What's he playing here? Okay, Vraska's Contempt. So yeah, this is why I, of course, was keeping back this Dive Down, just to ensure that it stays on the battlefield safely. Hopefully they don't have another follow-up in their last 2 cards here for that next turn, but I guess if they do, then, well, I ate 2 of them. Well, okay, so they did have something here. They're getting 6 life off of that thing. Pretty impressive. That's still okay. So here's what I'm thinking this turn. I'm going to go ahead and play this. I'll put that on, well, I'll put that on this guy. That probably was the wrong call. I probably should have put it on the Sacred Cat so that if they do try to remove it, because it has the cartouche on there, I'd be able to get it back. But I'll play that. I could activate Chef at Dunes here, and I would end up, this would get being taken out of combat by the Spire, and I deal 10. That's not enough reason for me to activate that yet. I'm just going to play the Adanto Vanguard. I'll wait till after combat there. Not that it really matters because they're tapped out, but... Okay. Play the Adanto Vanguard. Still going to have up enough to create a vampire token this turn when I hopefully actually remember to do such a thing. Okay, cycling a land. Playing another Thematic Compass, which is going to end up flipping end of turn, so they're going to be able to remove 2 things from combat. Again, presumably is going to be the Vanguard and my my vampire token here. So if I activate Chef at Dunes next turn, I'm still going to be hitting in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still hitting in for 12 damage if I activate Chef at Dunes. 1 less than I would like, but this may do the trick. Yeah, I'm still able to activate the Dunes with this. So unless they got something crazy in their hand here, I think I'll be good. Alright. Curious Obsession, a very nice card, but I am going to forego that to hopefully get the win. Alright, yeah, so they let that go. Looks like they just had a battle at the bridge in their hand. So we do have to be careful of some removal. Adanto Vanguard is not as good here as it is in most decks, or against most other decks. I am definitely going to keep SRAM's Expertise in here. This seems like a very good matchup for SRAM's Expertise. I'm going to bring in some Spell Pierces. Actually, Spell Pierce seems very bad. With as much mana as they have going, Negate is the right option here. So let's bring in a couple Negates. I don't want to go overboard with it. I'm thinking maybe just 2. That could also be the wrong call, but we'll see. I feel comfortable bringing in another Squire's Devotion. Fragmentize. No reason there, because Thematic Compass is probably just going to flip the same turn it's played, so Sorcery Speed's not going to do me any good. Cards that are not actually as good as you would expect them to be in this matchup. I feel like I'm going to take out the Sky Marcher Aspirant. Probably at least 2 of those, because flying doesn't look like it's going to matter in this match. The Vanguard, while its Indestructible Clause isn't really going to matter, it's still a really good card, and it just attacks in well. So I think the other card I take out? Dive Down's very good. I think I just take out a third Sky Marcher Aspirant. Seems kind of weird to just leave one of those in there, but I do want to keep a very aggro quick game plan and hope that I can just get them behind on board. Alright, this hand looks great. Again, no auras, but I have 3 2-drops and a card to protect them as well. My opponent's on a mull. I feel comfortable with this at the moment. Alright, so we got another land. I don't necessarily mind hitting a pocket of lands here with the Adorned Pouncer in hand. So that's okay. More lands. I'm going to go for the Adano Vanguard. Not only does it attack in, just better in general, because it's attacking in for 3 instead of 2 next turn, but also if they are running a removal spell that is not -X, like, then it can protect itself. Are we just going to see... Okay, Spring, so that's fine. Okay, Glacial Fortress, despite being another land, is still okay here. Always welcome a dual land. Go ahead and attack in, and then, you know, I'm still going to put in a Danto Vanguard. Without having any auras in hand, this is just a safer bet. Statistically speaking, it should net me more damage. Okay, so yeah, Hour of Promise, like I thought last time. So he's going to get 2 lands, and then inevitably create 2 zombies, because I'm sure he's going to be grabbing deserts. The zombies are going to be fine, being 2/2s. Adano Vanguards are big enough to kill them, and if I need to pay some life to keep them alive, I'm honestly fine with that here. I'll be attacking in with both of them. Alright, we're going to play another Plains. I'm going to swing in with both. It may be a controversial call, but I'll pay the 8 life here. Okay, so he's just blocking with 1. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Still deal 3 damage. I could play SRAM and the Pouncer this turn. It's going to leave me open on Dive Down. So I think what I'm going to do is just play the Pouncer, because I feel comfortable with where I'm at in the game, and I don't want to open myself up to something crazy happening. Okay, so yeah, I think here's just going to be where I play the Dive Down. It's going to stop him from gaining life, keep my Vanguard alive, and hopefully that was a well-placed one there. Okay, so I'm still going to lose one of them. That's fine. Better than losing 2. Yeah, just drawing lands. Alright. I'm going to attack him with both here. I'm pretty okay if he decides to block the Pouncer, because we'll trade and then I'll just get the Pouncer back. Yeah, this is fine. Now, with only 1 card in hand, he'd have to have a removal spell for the Pouncer to 4/4. It's possible he could sack all of his dead lands to it if he could produce enough black mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he could not. So yeah, I think I just go for the Pouncer here. And we'll pass turn. that the Pouncer lives. Okay. So this lets him gain 3 life, add 2 of any mana. Activate the Deadlands. Yeah, that's what I expected. Ah, Fatal pushed my thing. Okay, that's unfortunate. Well, this isn't worst case scenario. I'm going to get to play SRAM here, and then follow that up by drawing a card, by playing the cartouche with him, and getting a token. Start generating some card advantage here. Now, it's very tempting to play this right now because you're like, oh, I'm going to play this, get a card, and then next turn start drawing. It's going to be great. Except for that one little very important drawback of if you don't attack with the creature this is attached to, you have to sacrifice it. And I have made that mistake before, being overzealous to play this and then putting it on a creature with summoning sickness, which is just inevitably a very bad decision. Alright, so he's going to get two more zombies here. SRAM will be able to attack through them, but without drawing another aura of some kind, my warrior is going to be in a rough spot. This is able to start just drawing cards for him now, once a turn. Okay. Yeah, not what I was looking for there. But if I play this, activate its effect, and put Curious Obsession on here, then he would either be taking damage, I'd get to draw some cards, or and I'd end up killing both of these if he chose to block. That may not be the right call. It's maybe a little bit of a risky call, but we're going to try it out. I'm going to say, oh well, let's do it. Okay, so another SRAM. It's not super helpful. One downside of running 4 copies of a legendary creature in this deck. Alright. You could double block my warrior, I suppose. Makes sense if he did. Yeah. I should have thought that through a little bit better. That's okay. Alright. Using the other half of Spring to draw a couple cards. Is he going to attack with the zombie here? No. Alright. Alright, so this is good. It's going to net me a card. I know SRAM's going to attack this turn. So I'll just see something else here. Hopefully something I can play. Ooh, Fatal pushing my SRAM in response. Well, I do still net the card off of it. And I have another SRAM to back him up, and I get a Sacred Cat. Alright. So I'm just going to play these out. Alright. Another hour of promise. Okay, Squire's Devotion is actually interesting here. Of course, it's not going to help me gain lifelink on a creature that wouldn't otherwise have it, but it will net me a second creature, which honestly isn't that helpful either, being just a 1/1. But I think I'm going to play it. I'm going to go down to these zombies faster than I would like to. So I'm going to hope that by playing this, I'll get that creature, the other zombie, and then have a chance to equip it with something. It does still have 3 if near dead lands on the field, though. It's just not going to probably go well for me here. Yeah. He's probably going to kill both of them next turn with the Deadlands. I'm not sure how I get out of this, as sad as that seems. Okay, at this point I feel like I'm just going to see the Torment of Hailfire next turn. It's still presuming that that's what this deck does. I may be wrong, but there's an awful lot of mana here, and I think you'd be able to activate it an awful lot of times. Oh, Profane Procession. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to be losing to this pretty quick. I'm just going to concede here, save a little bit of time for the next game. Hope that I can take this down in the 3rd round of the match. I think I feel comfortable with where my deck's at. I should probably have an additional negate in the hopes that I can knock out an hour of promise from resolving. The dive downs seem good. This actually was a letdown. It was more of a letdown because of when I drew it than anything, but I'm going to take it out. I'm also going to take this out just for the Sky Marcher. Just try to go a little bit more aggro. A little bit faster. Alright, I will be playing first. And this hand looks fine. Lacking blue mana, and again, as it seems to be the case almost every game here, auras in my opening hand, but this still looks fine. Alright, go ahead and throw out a cat, and pass my turn. Alright, so I do have some blue mana if I draw into some stuff here, so that's good. Yeah, Battle at the Bulge, not Battle of the Bulge, Battle at the Bridge. What am I thinking? Is that like an old war battle? I think so. But for 1, good enough to kill my Vanguard. Alright, so another Sacred Cat. I'm going to be able to just play all three of these this turn. I don't know why I haven't attacked yet. He's tapped out, though. It's alright. Alright, get in for one more. Next turn, hopefully, hit in for 4. But we're Fatal Pushing. I have enough lands in hand, I'll be able to get him back soon. Okay, so this is actually really good for me here. This is another scenario where I'm not getting to cast a card off of it, which is a little unfortunate. That's kind of the point of these expertise cards. And honestly, in this deck, you get to cast a card off of this less often than one would probably expect. But just swarming out 3/1/1s actually seems good in this matchup, just all on its own. So I'm okay playing that without actually getting additional value off of it. Because the majority of the removal we've seen in this deck is 1-for-1. So being able to just get 3 more bodies on the field seems alright. Especially this turn if I play Sheffet Dunes. It would be hitting him for 10, which is pretty significant, but I actually don't think I want to do that. Because I can embalm, or not embalm, eternalize and play my Sacred Cat this turn. If I don't, and taking him to 10's not gonna just do anything amazing for me here. I'll save that for another turn where I hopefully can make it, well, not a surprise because it's going to be on the field, but just use it to a little bit more effect. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and play my Sacred Cat. And you know, if this thing gets Fatal Pushed, oh gosh, I miscounted the amount of mana I had. Oh, that's embarrassing. Well, we don't have a 4/4 double striker on the field now. Again, this shows my inexperience with this game sometimes, but hopefully that doesn't ruin us. Hour of Promise here, I presume. Hour of Revelation. Oh no. Okay, destroy all non-land permanents. That's pretty bad. I am going to get 3 of those back with these Sacred Cats. And I actually think I'm just going to play out the 3 Sacred Cats instead of the Adorn Pouncer here so that I can also put out Danto Vanguard. Yeah. It's possible I shouldn't play all of these in one turn here. Because this is 3, 4, 5... Still have a 3-turn clock. I'm not going to be reducing that anymore by putting it to 6, and this saves me from some board wipes. I actually think I'm going to do that. That may be a dumb call, but in the case that I just have something that's going to wipe the whole board with me here. Like this Ifnir Deadlands is probably going to hit my Vanguard, though, so that's going to be bad. Yeah, I probably should have just played that out. I'm again going to not do the Adorn Pouncer here. Because he's holding up that 1 mana that I feel like is a Fatal Push. So I feel like if I play the Adorn Pouncer, it's just going to get killed end of turn. So I'm going to hope to draw into a Dive Down or Negate, something like that. Drawing into a Negate would actually make me feel pretty good at this point. Cartouche of Knowledge is fine. I think I just just play that and attack, see what I draw. I could attack for 8 here, take him down to 8 by activating the Sheffet Dunes. But I'd rather just do this. And I'll put it on this one so that if he does kill it, you know, he's going to be killing whichever one I have the cartouche on if he's going to kill something. So that way I'll be able to get it back. Yeah, there we go. So I'm not going to get to draw a card off of it, but I will be able to get that Sacred Cat back. Alright, there's an Hour of Promise. He's still leaving up that black mana, which makes me think he has that one remaining card as a Fatal Push. I may just be too scared of it at this point. So this turn I can attack in for 4, take him to 9, or activate the Dunes and take him to 5. I actually think that may be my play here. This may be the highest value I get out of Dunes in addition to keeping my life total up. That probably was a bad call though, because now I don't have enough to eternalize the Adorned Pouncer if I don't draw into a land. I was just enthralled with dealing damage there, and instead of actually accomplishing things I probably should be accomplishing, unfortunately. But you play and you learn. Yeah, and I'm going to lose that Pouncer now anyway. Alright. I still have a Vanguard coming next turn, Fumigate, so yeah, I used the Sheffet Dunes to probably the best of my ability, because I was losing all those creatures anyway. So here I'm just going to play out the Vanguard, play the Pouncer. They are running low on cards, so... let's hope these stick around. Okay. I had expected them to use the Deadlands on one of my creatures here, but not doing that makes me wonder what else we got. Okay, so they're searching something up again. Looks like they're putting some thought into this one, so may not be a default card they're going to for it. I don't think there's anything we could draw that would just win the game for us next turn. Like, we're going to be dealing 5 damage, but I'm not sure I have anything in here that I could like put on the Pouncer or anything that would just get us there. Because it'd have to be +2/+2, and I believe the only thing I have for that is in the sideboard right now. So we could get them down to 2, depending on what we draw. And it's a dive down. So not the worst draw we could have had here, because it will protect something if they have a targeted removal spell. Go ahead and get in for 5, take them down to 4. The unfortunate thing is that we're probably, you know, there's potential that we're looking at dying next turn to whatever they tutored up in their hand. I'd be surprised if they just tutored that out. I mean, it removes something from combat, but still. By activating the Deadlands here. Yeah, so I'm just going to put Dive Down on there. Make sure I still have them on a 2-turn clock. Even being able to do something with this. So I'll attack him with both. They're going to remove the Vanguard from combat. Okay, and they just kind of saw the writing on the wall there, it looks like. So perfect. 2-1 now, going into match 4. Super happy with that. I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, we're here with match 4 of our league. And, you know, we're kind of burned in another game, starting with 2 islands, so I do think I'm going to mull this hand as much as I love it. Otherwise, I just don't want to lose another match to that, so I'm going to go ahead and mull here. This hand looks a lot better, despite our kind of awkward mana base. This is a for sure keep to me. I'm actually going to put this on the bottom because I would like to draw a land that would make something here come in untapped. Actually, maybe I don't. Maybe I just let this happen. I'm on the draw, so I'm going to get an extra draw here. Yeah, let's be risky. Let's keep that. Alright, so go ahead and play a tapped land, pass it over. Next turn, if I draw a land, I'll get to drop the Vanguard. Otherwise, I'm probably going to put down the Sacred Cat. The Legion's Landing is one of those cards that doesn't have to be played turn 1, and the cat just offers me a little bit more value based off the fact that if it eats a removal spell, I can get it back. Looks like we may be playing against a similar deck. I mean, blue-white. So, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play our Glacial Fortress here. Play the Sacred Cat. I think I play the cat instead of the Aspirant. Yeah. The Skymarcher Aspirant is one of the cards that I'm most iffy about in the deck. Okay, Essence Scatter. Kind of surprised to see this coming on a Sacred Cat here, especially because I'm just going to be able to get it back if I want to. But it does let me know that I'm playing something with counters, so I'm going to need to be wary of Censor, and you know, there's not a whole lot I can do to play around Essence Scatter here other than just save back some of my more important stuff. It does make Legion's Landing even better, though. Okay, so really happy to see an extra planes here. This lets me play around Censor, at least on my first card, and then, you know, hopefully I can sneak in a Legion's Landing or a Sky March or something like that. So I definitely do just go ahead and play out the Vanguard here. If they have an Essence Scatter, then they have an Essence Scatter. It'll be fine. Yeah, I think this is okay. Okay, so I got it on the field. I'm happy about that. If I play my next card here, there's a pretty fair chance it's getting countered, I think, which is why I'm going to play the Sky Marcher instead of the Legion's Landing, because I would much rather have this a little bit later on whenever I get to flip it and just make some creatures, which is really solid against control here. So, you know, I could wait on this and be cautious, but I would rather just try to force this out, and I'm glad I did. So I don't know if they're going to have something coming on instep here, cycling a land maybe, or cycling Hieroglyphic Illumination possibly. Supreme Will, okay. So they could have played that against either of my cards here, which I find interesting that they chose not to. Makes me wonder if they have something else in their hand that they're planning on holding back in the realm of Settle the Wreckage, something like that, Fumigates, that they're just kind of not worried about what I put out on the board. So that is going to keep me a little bit more safe here, a little more tamed with what I'm playing, with what I'm attacking in with at least. So I think I'm going to honestly kind of presume they have Settle the Wreckage here. So I think I'm going to play Curious Obsession just because I would like to draw a card if I can, if they don't have it, and just attack in with the, I think I'm going to attack in with the Sky Marcher, because if they do have Fumigate or something, the Adanto Vanguard will be able to protect itself from that, but it's not going to be able to protect itself from Settle the Wreckage. And I can't think of much removal I'm going to be seeing from them that would be better off for me attacking with the Vanguard here. Sorry, I'm trying to think. I might not be making sense with this, but let's see how it goes. Yeah, so I figured we would get that. This does give me an extra land, and I don't mind that at all right now, honestly. With a 3-mana card in my hand and these guys, I'm pretty good with seeing that. I am going to go ahead and play out my Sky Marcher and my Legion's Landing here. Depending on how much mana they hold up next turn, we'll see how I attack in. Really hope I'm not just going to get killed with Fumigate here, but even if I do, Adanto Vanguard will be able to protect itself from that. So that's another reason I'm glad that I did not attack in with it. Yeah, so we do see Fumigate. At least I'm going to save my Vanguard. Would have loved to have been able to flip Legion's Landing before I lost all my guys, but at least I'm still going to have this out, and I'll be able to play Squire's Devotion on it next turn. Keep my life total up, and power it up a little bit, get an extra creature. So there's another Legion's Landing, and this is actually pretty good, because this is going to let me rebuild my board. And they're tapped out, which makes me just kind of feel better about things in general. Alright. And luckily there's no real downside to me playing the second landing when I already have one out, because there's nothing this will do once that first one flips, different than now. I'm still going to be getting my 1/1 token off of it, so it is safe and good to go ahead and play that out. Alright. Have to sack one of them to the Legend Rule here, and I'm going to get my token. And now, hopefully, unless they have another board sweeper, I will get to flip my Legion's Landing next turn. It's very possible I go ahead and just attack in with everything, because in that case I would be able to flip Legion's Landing and play the Pouncer to rebuild a little bit if they have another Settle the Wreckage. I think I'm just going to hope they don't, because flipping the landing is just good enough here, I think. Yeah, like I could just attack in with my 2/1/1s to be a little safe, but I'm just going to go for it. Hope they're a little low on actual real cards in hand here. But it looks like they're probably settling the wreckage on me. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. But I get to thin out my deck by 3 cards. Let's grab 2 plains and an island. I am still going to get to flip this, luckily. I'm not going to have enough mana to play the Pouncer and activate it, so that's just going to mean playing the Pouncer here. Oh, and I'm not going to lie, I totally forgot I had this cat in the graveyard, so I may as well play it out as well. And that's all the way back from when they Essence Scattered it on turn 2. This is another reason to play with your graveyard up here if you do have any sort of graveyard synergies, just to make sure you don't miss those. Alright, passing through their turn again here. Very much hoping they don't have instant speed stuff to do here, but I'm going to put the Cartouche on the Pouncer, I'm very likely just going to go ahead and attack in with both of these because I'll be getting a token off the cartouche, and I'll also be able to make a token off of the, what's this name? A Danto, the first 4. I'll make a token off of a Danto. Alright. Surely they don't have a third Settle the Wreckage here. That'd be pretty lucky for them if they did. And it looks like they do not. So I'm going to get in for 5 here. And on their end step, I will create my token. In all technicality, there's no real harm of playing it now. Well, I guess if they play a Fumigate or something like that next turn, I would very much like to be able to play this after the Fumigate is played. So there's definitely upside. I was mostly looking at the fact I have no cards in hand. Nothing to really bluff here, but definitely want to end step that. Alright, there's a search for Escanta. They have 6 cards in the graveyard. So they're very likely going to be able to flip that next turn, just to allow them some further rummaging ability here. Second Pouncer actually makes me feel pretty good. 3 cards in hand. Do I attack all in? If I attack all in, I hit for 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I do. I don't think there's any real need to play around the third Settle the Wreckage. I mean, they have 5 mana up, so they're not going to play a Gear Hulk, but wow, third Settle the Wreckage. My goodness. Okay, 4 lands coming our way. You don't typically expect your opponent to draw 3 crazy removal spells like that, but they did. Alright. Masses of lands on the field now. I'm going to go ahead and play my Adorn Pouncer. And then I'll be able to create a token on their end step. Alright, so now they are able to flip Escanta if they want to. You know, I've seen more players than you might expect go ahead and keep this unflipped just for the scry ability, but with the number of lands they have out, I feel like it's just a little bit better to go ahead and flip it here. Yeah, and they did. Alright, a Sacred Cat. That is fine. Always good with getting more creatures to just fill up the board a little bit more. Gonna go ahead and attack in. You know, I didn't think there was any fear in playing around the third Settle the Wreckage. Surely there is not any fear in playing around the fourth. They're gonna search for it. Okay. So let's see. Approach of the Second Sun. Alright. This thing is 7 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they do have enough to play it, but they don't have any anything on the field. Well, I guess the Escanta actually is going to get it there pretty quickly. Alright. Okay, so they're going to play that next turn. They're going to be able to search next turn and, what, have it the turn after that? That is going to be a very quick turnaround, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be able to win this game before they play it again. Especially because they're going to gain all this life off of it. That is unfortunate. Definitely should have tried to play around the Settle the Wreckages a little bit better here, I think. Alright, so that takes them back up to 17. They're important to note, they're not actually able to activate search this next turn. I did completely forget to activate my land, though. I am doing awful with remembering to do that. So that's a point less of damage I'm going to get in here. Don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. Yeah, even if I do get another turn here, I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage I'm going to send at them. If I can pick up something, probably one of my better draws here is going to be like a the blue cartouche, just because it would let me put it on one of the pouncers and then draw another card, hope to draw into a second cartouche, a second something to play. But they're actually just going to find the approach on this turn. Probably not be able to cast it, because this is taking a look at the top 4. They drew 1, so this is down to 5. But they'll still have to activate this if they want to find it this turn. Okay. And again, I didn't activate this. I'm just misplaying all over the place here. If I would have been activating this in the way I should have, I think I would have got 3 more points of damage in on them, taking them down to 4. But that's just would not have changed things, because they're going to find the approach on this search, and they're just going to play that next turn, winning the game, and I have nothing to stop that. So, all right, on to game 2. One thing that is not going to do anything for me in this match is these dive downs. They're just as good of a card as I do believe they usually are. They're just pretty much dead in this match. I do not believe Squire's Devotion is necessary, because life is not something I'm caring about here. Spell Pierce and Negate. The Spell Pierce does not seem great with as much mana as they get. So I do think I'm going to bring in the negates. And, you know, this could destroy his Kanta early in the game, which could be good. I don't know if I actually want to bring it in. Of course, Baffling End is going to do nothing for me here. Ixalan's Binding, really not doing anything for me here either. I think I'm going to hold off on the Fragmentize, hope that I can just kind of get a board big enough, and hope the Iskanta doesn't come down. Hope that the negates kind of do my job for me. Yeah. I'm going to see, since I'm not super worried about facing down other creatures, if I want to put this one with the wind in there just because it makes it a little bit bigger. Is there anything I would rather switch out for that? I don't actually think there is, because my other cartouches draw me cards, which is 99% of the time going to be better than that extra point of damage, and my other cartouche, the white one, just gets me an extra creature, which makes up for that point there too. Alright, so as good as this hand looks, again, a 1-lander and an island at that, so cannot keep. I'm all down to 6. I'll have to keep this hand. It doesn't look great, but I can throw out the Sky Marchers, the Legion's Landing pretty quickly here. Hope that that does something for me. I will bottom this Plains. So I'm just going to force out this Sky Marcher. Hope that it can get in for some early damage. And next turn I'll very likely be playing the Sky Marcher and the Legion's Landing. Just make sure I can get on the board with as much possible here. It's actually probably worthwhile to play the Sacred Cat instead of Legion's Landing. For the same main reasons that I talked about last match here. I can just play the Legion's Landing on my third turn, hopefully. And by that time I'll have 3 lands on the field, so if they are spell piercing, censoring, something like that, then I should be fine. Alright, so with 2 lands up, I do expect something to be played here in response to what I'm doing. I'm hoping it's not going to be a negate. I don't know if they would bring in a negate against me with just the auras. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get the Legion's Landing through with it with 2 mana up. Okay, and I did. So that's really good for me here. And I'm going to go ahead and attack in, play the Adorn Pouncer main phase 2, because I will have an extra mana. It's probably going to get Essence Scattered, if I had to take a guess. But I think it's just worthwhile here to go ahead and try to get it on the field, and hope that they've had just kind of a slow draw. Actually, I will be tapping this for white. That makes a little more sense. Okay, so they did not have an Essence Scatter, which is very good for me here. They're probably didn't even cycle end of turn. So I'm kind of surprised by what they have in hand, because I'm going to be attacking in for a lot next turn, and they're still not at the point where they're able to play Settle the Wreckage or anything. And I am going to be now looking at actually putting a Cartouche on something as well. Of course, on my Pouncer here. So let's go ahead and do that. What are they going to play? Supremo. Okay, so counter unless I can pay 3, and unfortunately I cannot do that. Which is okay. You know, it gets me 2 points less of damage in here, but that's not the end of the world by any means. So getting them down to 5. Unfortunately, I'm not able to play Adanto on their next turn, since I did tap for that Cartouche of Knowledge. And I do have to be aware of Settle the Wreckage coming now, which I feel is more likely than not, but I just drew a negate. So I hope that's actually just going to win me the game here. That was pretty much the perfect draw for this turn. You know, this is an image of what this deck can do. Even without playing any of these auras, really, I'm still getting to just throw down everything on the field, and I will be negating this. Which, again, like I said, that draw just won me the game, because otherwise I would have got blown out. Of course, I wouldn't have been attacking him with all my creatures without the negate, but it definitely, that definitely did it for me. Alright. So I will be on the play this, or on the draw here. I'm not sure that's going to change anything. Still just tossing around whether Fragmentize is good. I think it's just has too much chance of being a dead draw. You know, we didn't see it in his content in that game. They're probably playing 3 or 4 in the deck, but I don't think it's so important that I need to make sideboard calls just to destroy that one card. If they had other enchantments or anything to hit with it, then I probably would, but not with just the search. Alright, so this draw, I'm actually going to keep this. I don't know if it's the right call, but I think SRAM's expertise could be pretty good in this match. A Pouncer with the Cartouche of Knowledge seems good. It's a little slower than I would like, but I'm going to keep it. Alright. So let's see what we draw. Glacial Fortress, so that's good. Well, actually not. I don't need a 5th land. I just like seeing a dual land. But alright, so there is a search. It's going to let them filter out their draws, which is definitely bad for me. But they are tapped out here, so I'm going to go ahead and play this Adorned Pouncer without the fear of it getting Essence Scattered. Alright, so it's good to know they did sideboard in negates here, or maybe not sideboard in, that may be a main board card, but they do have negates. Did not feel like that was necessary here. Field of Ruin, this honestly doesn't do a ton against my deck. As long as I have one source of blue, I'm usually pretty happy. I'm going to go ahead and play out the Cartouche, hoping it does not get countered. But I think I just have to play it here. But yeah, they're going to Supreme Verdict it maybe, just negate it. Alright, so they already had one of those in hand. Nothing I can do about that, but I will be going ahead and attacking in for 2. They may actually play Field of Ruin on one of these turns when they don't really have anything else to do, just to get another card in the graveyard for search. It's also worth noting they did not put a card in the graveyard from search there, so they liked whatever they had on the top of the deck. I'm going to go ahead and attack in. Again, getting kind of land flooded here is unfortunate because with this SRAM's expertise, I'm not actually even getting anything to play off of it. And I'm going to go ahead and play it here. If I'm playing around counter spells, it's something I'd have to wait another 2 turns to play. And I'd rather just do this. Try my luck before I get too far behind in the match. Okay, disallow. And again, there was going to be no getting around that. Alright, so they got Nixalan's Binding, went ahead and put it in the yard. Potentially because they are stuck on 3 lands and they need another. You know, they have not played a land in several turns here. So, being a 4-mana card, they may have just not wanted that. And again, drawing into more lands. A little unfortunate for me here. I mean, I guess I have them on an 8-turn clock with the Pouncer, but not exactly where you probably want to be. Once they do get another 3 cards in their graveyard, though, this search is going to be able to flip. And that'll offer them their 4th land to make Settle the Wreckage and things like that live. Wow, did they miss on that Supreme Will? Oh, no, of course they don't have to reveal that card. Sorry, I was thinking of activating Search when they have to reveal that. But okay, so Baffling In coming down here on my Adorn Pouncer. Unfortunate. Another reason Fragmentize could have been a good card if I would have sideboarded it in. Well, I finally got not a land. I have enough cards here that if they have a hard counter, they're going to blow me out with it. But if not, I have enough mana up to keep it alive, and looks like I do. Alright. Top decked of Plains with the Search, threw it in the graveyard. They are finally hitting into some lands here, having 5 on the board. And there's an Ixalan's Binding. Not great. Again, more reason that Fragmentize would have been good to bring in. It is unfortunate. With 3 lands in hand, I'm really just in top decking mode here. I'm going to go ahead and keep playing some lands here since I did get the Sky Marcher in hopes that I'll be able to get the City's Blessing, give it some flying. Not that it needs flying. I can't fathom what it would need flying for in this matchup, but alright, so they opted to keep that in their hand, despite it potentially being the 7th card to go to the graveyard, allowing Search to flip. Something they liked. Alright, at this point I just have to take my chances with playing stuff, attacking the stuff, even if they're going to get Settle the Wreckaged. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play both of these just in case it matters at any point that I have the City's Blessing. And we're probably getting Settle the Wreckaged here. Yep. This really did turn out to be a shockingly good card, in my opinion. You know, I remember when everybody first saw it, a lot of people that I knew of thought, oh, that's a really cool effect, just like a massive path to exile. But nobody actually thought it was going to see any legitimate play. It was just kind of something cool they made. But, you know, it's done very well. Okay, so there's Approach. That's pretty much going to be a death sentence for me here. Can't fathom what I could draw to get me back from this, and it's definitely not a Glacial Fortress. So with this Kanta on the battlefield, and they're just going to search that up in 2 turns, I'm going to lose this. I'm going to go ahead and concede. So we're going to end up being 2-2 on the league here so far. 1 match to go. I like this hand. A couple of stuff to load up on Aspirant. I mean, 1 kind of card here, and 1 removal spell, and I'd be dead. But I'm going to try it out being match 1. Probably a bad call, not having blue mana, but we're going to see how it goes. Alright, Fetid Pools. And there's a SRAM. I actually like that a lot. It's going to allow me to draw a card whenever I play the Cartouche of Solidarity here. And that can be pretty valuable in hopefully getting towards finding an island. Another Search, not great. We saw how much that card ended up hurting us in the last match. Alright, so this is a point where I could play the Cartouche and Legion's Landing here, but I feel like just getting SRAM out and getting to draw off of these cards is a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and play SRAM. I could wait till main 2 to do that, but they're tapped out, so there's really not a lot of harm in it. liking whatever they found on the top of their deck. Alright, yeah, Fatal Push on SRAM here. Very unfortunate. But again, making me happy I didn't load up on the cartouches. Okay, this is not a card I see very often. Argul's Bloodfast, 2 mana, pay 2 life, draw a card at the beginning of your upkeep if you have 5 or less. Transform it, and then you can add black or sack a creature to gain life equal to its toughness. Okay, not entirely sure how that card's going to play out here. Like I said, very much not something I am used to seeing. Alright, so unfortunately we still have not seen blue mana, and we're going to have our hand loaded down with blue cards. But hopefully we can find that on our next turn. And then I'm going to go ahead and play the landing here. And then get in for 3. I'm really curious what this guy's going to have to throw out there for when the Bloodfast flips. What kind of creatures I'm going to be seeing that he's going to be wanting to sacrifice. And he found another search off the top, so he threw that in the bin. 4 mana up, potentially Vraska's Contempt, something to that effect. Unfortunately, we are still in a place where we're getting plains. I'd feel much better if I had blue available for the dive down, or really just to play any of these cards, because all of these cards would be fantastic in the situation we're in right now. But I'm going to go ahead and play, go ahead and attack with all 3 of these guys to flip Legion's Landing. And then I'll be able to create a token off of it with my with the mana I have on the field, since I can't actually play anything else this turn. Okay, and he's activating the Bloodfast to draw extra cards, take 2 life. He can activate it twice here if he wants, and he is going to. So he's getting himself down to 6. Which again really makes me wonder what we're going to be seeing, because at 6 I'm going to be attacking in for lethal next turn if he doesn't come up with something to do. And it is his end step, so he's going to have to do something on my next turn to save himself from lethal. Yeah, another dive down, another card I'd be very happy with in this scenario if I were looking at any islands on the field. But let's go ahead and see what happens here. Gotta try. Okay, so Vraska's Contempt, like I kind of thought he might have last turn. Again, the dive down would have pretty much just won me the game on the spot right there if I had blue mana. But I'll get to create another 1/1 for next turn. Okay, so the Bloodfast is flipping here, giving him another source of mana and the ability to sacrifice things. He throws a Supreme Will in the graveyard with the search. Make another vampire token. Alright, so SRAM's Expertise here, which will let me actually play one of these cards for free. So I do think I just go ahead and do that. Try to get to throw one of my cartouches on something to not only draw a card here, but also get enough damage on the board for a lethal attack. He may have something to counter it here, but looks like he actually does not. Alright. Okay, and this one he may actually counter. Okay, so Torrential Gearhulk coming in. And off of that, he's going to cast Fatal Push, Supreme Will, potentially. Oh, Vraska's Contempt. That makes a lot more sense. Gain a couple life, and kill what I was trying to throw something on there. Alright, now I do have the ability to go ahead and attack in. He's going to eat one of my creatures, but that would get me in for 2, take him down to 6. Next turn, be able to attack in with 5 to get another 4 damage. This may actually be worthwhile here, as crazy as it sounds. I actually think it is. I'm not very invested in any given one of these creatures, and, you know, aside from this turn, I can regenerate one of them every turn pretty much with the Danto. Of course, if he is in dire need of keeping some life, he will be able to sack the Gearhulk to one of these guys after blocking to gain 6 or 5, whether it's power toughness, I'm not sure. Scarab God's pretty bad for me here. Right now, the only thing he would actually be able to bring back from any graveyard is SRAM, which is not the scariest thing in the world. Okay, so a Cartouche of Solidarity. I can play this and still be safe with being able to play a Danto and activate its ability here. So I'll go ahead and do that. If I attack in here, I get in for, you know, he's going to block this guy, say that guy. I get in for 3, take him to 2. Yeah, let's do it. I will be curious to see if he chooses to reanimate SRAM here, just so he can get a 4/4 on the field. And I definitely would have ordered those triggers separately, because if he does flip a creature off the top with Search, then he would have been able to reanimate that before getting the Drain Life triggers and Scry triggers. Activate my land. Alright. We are never going to see a blue mana here. But I'm going to keep chipping in. At this point in time, it's going to force him to sack one of his creatures, or at the very least, activate the Scarab God to get SRAM and sack SRAM to it. Looks like he's trying to figure out what to do here, what to sack, what to play to stay above board. He's just sacking the Gear Hulk, which I do find an unusual choice in this case, but it does get him 6 life. I suppose if he sacks the Gear Hulk and then end of turns with SRAM, he would be able to... Oh, of course he's able to get the Gear Hulk back. That makes a lot of sense here. Makes a lot of sense. Alright. So I believe he's going to be just taking 2 off of this. Yeah. Alright. He's going to gain 1, drain 1 on this next upkeep, and then scry as well. Oh, I guess I don't actually, he doesn't actually gain life off the Scarab God. I thought that was a drain effect, but just one where I lose life. Let's see if he scried to the top or bottom. Put our card on the bottom, so that's always good. Okay. So I can play the Vanguard here and not actually get to activate the Adanto this turn. And weirdly enough, I actually think it's better to activate the Adanto, because if I don't, then he can target my Vanguard with his Scarab God, and that would be attacking in as a 6/4 which just seems bad. Getting to the point where I definitely want to stop attacking in for little bits of value, because he's getting too much on the board here. So now I'm going to be down to 2 creatures. I do feel like I'm probably just losing this race. Yeah, and we get another land, but not the land we're looking for. So I'll go ahead and play the Vanguard. Still have enough to activate my land at the end of next turn. And I'll pass. You know, I F6'd there to pass to the end of the turn, but that is something you want to try not to do sometimes with this deck. You know, I do it as a thing of habit, but ultimately, if that would have been a fatal push or something, I could have saved my Vanguard there. Of course, with it being Moment of Craving, I couldn't, and my fear with playing it comes true that he's just bringing it in with the Scarab God here. Yeah, so he's draining me for 3 a turn, scrying 3 a turn. He's just got a very solid field to attack with. I'm pretty close to the point where I think we just concede this match. Go to the next game. Hope that we can do something a little bit better with it. Yeah, I think we do here. Being stuck on mana a little bit here was unfortunate. I think if we would have had blue earlier in the game, we could have closed close this off in those earlier turns. So sideboarding, Squire's Devotion is not important to me here. One with the Wind is a little bit more so, because it's going to allow me to get over, like the Gearhulks and Scarab Gods. Ixalan's Binding seems pretty good. Baffling End doesn't do anything for me, because if I am correct, when the Scarab God makes its token, it keeps its mana cost. So that's going to be pretty bad. Negate is going to stop Search or the Bloodfast, but I'm not sure I really want to be playing that on those cards. I mean, it stops Vraska's Contempt as well, I guess, and Fatal Push. Gosh, I don't know if it's worth it for that. With this having 2 targets, I think it may be worth bringing in a couple of these. Cards that I think are just generally a little bit less good in this matchup. I'm going to take out one of these First Striking cartouches just because it's doing a little bit less for me. Going to take out a Sacred Cat here. Actually, I'm going to take out the Pouncer and leave the cat, as weird as that sounds. I'm going to take them both out. I'm at 61. Alright, let's try this out. We'll be playing first. This hand looks good. It's got a couple things for me to do. I think in general it's got enough stuff going on that I have a chance. Run out my Sky Marcher here early. Depending on what I draw, I'm probably going to put the Curious Obsession on it. You know, he's not going to be able to Fatal Push it here, so I should be able to at least get a draw off of it. Yeah. I think having this draw is just pretty important right now. Just making sure I see as many cards as possible, have as much way to flood the field and get ahead while I can. You know, his deck doesn't really turn on till the late game, and my deck kind of shuts down a little bit in the late game and falls behind pretty heavily, so I'm going to try to play to my advantages. Alright, play my Glacial Fortress. Probably going to be able to play the Adorned Pouncer and the Cartouche here. I'm going to go ahead and play the Cartouche first, because that is, weirdly enough, a little bit more important to me right now, and because if it gets censored or something, I mean, I could have played on the Pouncer and got a little bit more value long term. Alright, so Sacred Cat. I am just going to play the Pouncer here, though. Okay. That's fine. I should be able, in theory, to play out of my graveyard that Adorned Pouncer before too long. Field of Ruin hitting my Glacial Fortress. That is perfectly okay here. I'll go ahead and get another island since I have a Plains in hand. Okay, that's unfortunate. But he is tapped out for next turn when I'm going to be playing the SRAM's Expertise. So that's a lot better. And then I'll have Ixalan's Binding to back that up. Next turn, of course, if I don't want to play the Pouncer. Going to get to cast the Sacred Cat off of my Expertise here. Get just a little bit more value off of it. And next turn, what's got some potential is playing Ixalan's Binding, and then actually it's not, because it doesn't actually have any targets. But this actually seems good to me. You know, I could play the Pouncer, but I actually kind of just prefer putting the Obsession on something, getting to draw a card with it, and hopefully play something there. It actually might just be better to play the Pouncer. Just try to go fast. I think I'm going to do that. The Pouncer is better than a random card and a point of damage. And I'm not casting it, so it's going to be immune to some of the counter spells I might be facing otherwise. It can get fatal pushed here, unfortunately, which it is, but that's just going to be the price I have to pay here sometimes. Alright, so there's a Scarab God. I'm going to get to play the Ixalan's Binding on it and play Curious Obsession next turn. So that's actually going to take me within 1 point of lethal. Alright, go ahead and put the Curious Obsession on my Sacred Cat here. Swing in with everything, get to draw a card, take him to 1, and hope that there's not a way he's coming back out of this. You know, he could play a Gear Hulk next turn, but I really don't see how that, if he hits his land, of course, I really don't see how that's going to bring him back. He can't play another Scarab God. So I feel pretty good about where we're at right now. Okay, yeah. So going on to game 3 of the match. I liked my kind of all-in plan here. I do wonder if I don't just need a little bit more mass of creatures as opposed to some of these. I don't know, I have questions whether I should be just playing the other Sacred Cat and the Adorned Pouncer here, and I do believe it's possible I should. I think I'll trim a SRAM. This may sound crazy, but again, being on the draw and just being a turn behind, I want to go a little bit cheaper, so I'm going to play all 4 cats and trim a SRAM from the deck. Alright, I'm going to be keeping this hand, hoping I draw into an island again, but I feel pretty good about what we have here, dropping a Sky Marcher on the first turn and 2 Sacred Cats on the second turn. It's very possible we're going to be seeing a Fatal Push, but that island makes me even happier. So I'm going to play the cat here, because if they are holding up a turn 1 Fatal Push, then that's something I'll actually be able to play again on the second turn, as opposed to the Aspirant. It'll be 1 less point of damage in the long run, but that's okay. Okay, so Gifted Aetherborn. That's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but we can deal with it. The question is, do I go ahead and flood out my 2 other 1-drops here? I could play Vanguard, or I could give my cat flying and draw a card and just try to go over the top of the Aetherborn, which actually may be the right play. Yeah, I think we're just going to start drawing cards here. We'll get to play the Vanguard next turn along with one of my 1-drops. That'll give me the ability to attack into the Aetherborn safely, and I really like seeing the Sky Marcher here, another one of those. Because if I can get the permanents on board, get to the City's Blessing, and just have those couple of flyers, that's going to go a pretty long ways for me, I think, in this matchup. Okay, so a second Gifted Aetherborn. Again, I actually don't feel awful about this. You know, the lifelink form is a little frustrating here just because I'm trying to make this as quick as possible. But a second cartouche is actually really good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and attack. And instead of playing the Vanguard, no, I actually do just play the Vanguard, play probably the other cat here, or one of the Sky Marchers, and then the turn after I'll be able to put the cartouche on the Vanguard. And it'll be attacking for 4 in the air every turn, which will be pretty solid. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next turn I'll have 8, 9. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play this in that weird chance that I do get to Critical Mass and City's Blessing, which is entirely possible. If I draw a land, I can play SRAM's Expertise, play the cartouche off of that, and then attack in for just a lot in the air. Okay, so I don't see the land, but Dive Down is still a good card here. It actually makes me a little bit less likely to play the cartouche, especially with having a wide open field. So if they're going to Vraska's Contempt something, I can just make that spell fizzle. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and attack. Because I feel like they're holding up a Vraska's Contempt. Or not. Okay. I do find it a little odd to attack him with both of them there and not have a follow-up play. But at this point, instead of playing that cartouche, I'm just going to be dropping the Sacred Cat, playing the Sky Marcher, and seeing where we go next turn. Hold up the Dive Down for any other removal that I might be facing. I know it's a little frustrating to only have them at 15 right now. You know, gaining 6, 8, whatever amount of lifelink points for them has been pretty significant this match so far. Okay, so yeah, there's the Vraska's Contempt, and I'm definitely going to be Dive Downing that, since its Indestructible Clause is going to be ineffective against the Exile. So not only do they not gain the 2 life, but my Adanto is going to stay on the field. And then hopefully I'm going to be able to put the cartouche on him next turn. And then get to fly over for a lot more damage. And there's the Scarab God. He's tapping out for it. Again, I don't think this is worst case scenario. And he's just attacking in with one of them here. And I shall not be blocking. Okay, so a land is exactly what I wanted to see, because I get to play SRAM's Expertise into Cartouche of Knowledge. So that's going to be pretty great for me. And now I already have flyers with City's Blessing with those 2 vampires. Get 3 more creatures on the ground. No creatures in the graveyard for the Scarab God to reanimate, which is pretty awesome. And I'm going to be attaching this to my Adanto Vanguard. Alright, and there's a Shram, and that's honestly not a bad draw. So I do not want to attack in with my Sacred Cat, because that'll just get eaten. But I'll be able to deal 4, 8, 10 points of damage in the air here. Take him to 7. We're going to be able to potentially get up to 4 back if he attacks with the Aetherborns, which I would not be too surprised if he did. Okay, he's cycling. Makes me feel good. He's looking for something here. And he's probably not going to attack with these guys. So if he attacks with those, he just gets through. I let him through, and then I attack back with all the servos and stuff next turn. So he's fatal pushing my cat. Okay, so he's attacking in with them. It's going to bring him up to 11. I'll still be dealing 8 in the air, and I'll be able to get in an additional 3 on the ground, which is 11. I think I have this match. I just think mathematically I do. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm miscounting somewhere here. Okay, so Curious Obsession definitely makes me feel better. Because, yeah, I'm going to be attacking in for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that has to get through. And he only has 1 blocker, so there's an extra 3. I will go ahead and put this on one of my flyers just to be safe. I mean, I'm going to play my outs here. He's tapped out, but no reason to not just be certain. Oh, wow. Actually going to get to play another one. So I do think, barring something absolutely absurd happening, yeah. So he went ahead and conceded here. So we ended up going 3-2 on this league, and I'm pretty happy with that. While 3-2 isn't the best thing, I was hoping for a 4-1. We did end up making our entry back, get a treasure chest. So that's a win in my book. So I will see you guys on our next league. Thanks for watching.